My beloved child. Something around you has already started shifting, even if your eyes cannot fully see it yet. The walls you wake up between every day are quietly preparing to release you. The place you call familiar is no longer meant to hold your future. You are not imagining the restlessness in your chest. You are not overthinking the sudden urge to pack, clean, organize, and mentally detach. This is not random. This is the beginning of a move that was decided long before you became aware of it. And what makes this moment powerful is not the moving itself, but the reason behind why it must happen now. Listen closely to this part, because most people miss it. You are not moving away because something went wrong. You are moving because something is about to go right in a way that cannot coexist with your current environment. Certain energies cannot follow you forward. Certain people cannot access the next chapter of your life. Certain conversations, expectations, and emotional debts had to end quietly. That is why the signs came without noise. A sudden feeling of emotional distance. A strange calm when you imagine leaving. Less attachment to things that once felt important. This is not loss. This is preparation. And the timing of it is not accidental. Here is the part no one told you, and this is where everything changes. Someone close to you already knows you are moving before you do. They sensed it in your silence. They noticed the way you stopped explaining yourself. They felt the shift when you no longer reacted the same way. And it unsettled them. Because your move is not just physical. It removes access. It removes control. It removes the version of you they relied on. This is why subtle behavior around you has changed. The questions became indirect. The concern became disguised. The curiosity increased. They are trying to understand what you know without asking you directly. And the truth is, you do not fully know yet either. But your soul does. What is shocking is not that you are leaving. It is what happens immediately after you do. The moment you step into this new space, something that was delayed suddenly accelerates. Opportunities that stayed distant suddenly respond. People who hesitated suddenly show urgency. Messages that were unsent suddenly arrive. And the silence you carried for so long finally makes sense. This move creates a vacuum. And nature always rushes to fill a vacuum. That is why this relocation had to be quiet. No announcements. No explanations. No emotional goodbyes that drain your energy. Just movement. Just alignment. Just trust. Understand this clearly before the next part unfolds. You are not being pushed away from anything. You are being pulled toward a version of your life that cannot begin where you currently stand. This move seals something permanently. Once it happens, there is no emotional return ticket. The door does not slam. It simply closes softly behind you. And the people who assumed you would always be reachable will realize too late that access has changed. This is not punishment. This is positioning. And in the next part, you will understand exactly what this move unlocks, and why it had to happen very soon. My beloved child. The moment you cross into this next phase, something invisible but irreversible locks into place. This is why your spirit has been unusually quiet lately, almost watchful, as if it knows speaking too soon would disrupt the timing. This move is not just about distance. It is about jurisdiction. Certain people had emotional authority over you simply because of proximity, routine, and access. When you move, that authority expires. Their opinions lose weight. Their expectations lose leverage. Their ability to interfere fades without confrontation. This is why you were never meant to announce this loudly. Silence protects alignment. And the most surprising part is that the universe responds faster when fewer people are involved. Pay attention now, because this is the revelation that changes how you view your past. The delays you experienced were not punishments or failures. They were containment. If things had worked earlier, you would have stayed where you were longer. You would have remained accessible to energies that were not meant to cross into your next chapter. That is why doors opened halfway and then closed again. That is why plans almost worked but never fully settled. It was not bad luck. It was intelligent redirection. This move was always the key. Without it, nothing else could fully activate. With it, everything accelerates. Here is where it becomes intense. Someone you once relied on emotionally will feel this shift immediately after you leave. Not because you announce it, but because your energy withdraws. They will feel the absence before they understand the cause. And what unsettles them is not missing you, but realizing they no longer influence you. This is where their behavior changes. Some will suddenly become kind. Some will become curious. Some will try to reinsert themselves gently. Not because they suddenly understand you, but because they sense their role ending. This is not coincidence. This is energetic awareness. And you are not meant to respond to it. Once you settle into the new space, even temporarily, clarity hits in waves. You begin to see how much emotional labor you were carrying that was never yours. How many decisions were filtered through other people's comfort instead of your truth. How many compromises felt normal simply because they were familiar. This is why peace feels unfamiliar at first. This is why the quiet feels loud. Your nervous system is recalibrating. And as it does, your intuition sharpens. You start making decisions faster. Saying no without guilt. Choosing without explanation. This is the upgrade people never talk about. Hold this final truth carefully. You are not leaving people behind. You are leaving versions of yourself that had to exist to survive, not to thrive. And once this move is complete, something will be revealed to you about why you had to outgrow them quietly. The understanding will arrive without drama. Without anger. Without regret. Just clarity. And in the next part, you will see how this move directly connects to a door opening that you were never supposed to chase, because it was always meant to meet you halfway. My beloved child. There is a reason your life feels like it is holding its breath right now. The pause you are experiencing is not emptiness. It is compression. Everything that is about to move needs pressure before momentum. That is why days feel heavier, nights feel more reflective, and memories surface without warning. You are unconsciously detaching from an old timeline. And what most people never realize is that detachment often feels lonely before it feels powerful. This is the phase where you stop reaching out, where you stop proving, where you stop filling silence just to feel connected. This is not withdrawal. This is alignment settling in. And it is happening precisely because your environment can no longer support who you are becoming. Here is the part that will shock you when you finally understand it. Your move does not just change your future. It exposes the truth about your past. Once you leave, patterns become visible that were hidden by routine. You will recognize who benefited from your consistency, who relied on your emotional availability, who felt safe because you stayed predictable. And you will also notice who truly supported you without needing access to your energy. This clarity arrives without confrontation. No arguments. No dramatic endings. Just awareness. And awareness is irreversible. You will never unsee what becomes clear after distance creates perspective. Something else begins to happen quietly during this phase. Your standards rise without effort. You stop tolerating confusion. You stop entertaining half-commitments. You stop accepting vague promises and delayed actions. This is not bitterness. This is maturity activating. Your nervous system learns what peace feels like, and once it does, chaos loses its appeal. This is why certain invitations stop exciting you. Certain conversations feel draining. Certain people feel familiar but no longer aligned. This is not because they changed. It is because you did. And growth always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. There is also a door that begins to respond to you differently now. A door you once knocked on quietly. Maybe through effort. Maybe through patience. Maybe through hope. That door did not open then because you were not standing in the right place yet. Doors respond to position, not desire. And this move places you exactly where you need to be seen, noticed, and received. What once felt delayed now feels intentional. What once felt silent now feels observant. You were being watched, assessed, prepared. And now the conditions are correct. Understand this before moving forward. This chapter is not asking you to rush. It is asking you to trust the stillness. Because stillness is where alignment locks in. Once it does, movement becomes effortless. The right people recognize you without explanation. The right opportunities find you without chasing. The right answers arrive without forcing. And in the next part, you will discover why this move also protects you from something you never saw coming, and why leaving now saves you from a cycle that was never meant to repeat. My beloved child, there is something important you must understand now, because this is where protection quietly enters the story. The move you are about to complete does not only guide you forward. It removes you from a pattern that was preparing to loop again. A cycle that would have looked familiar, comfortable, and deceptively safe. If you had stayed, the same emotional themes would have returned wearing different faces. The same delays would have resurfaced under new excuses. The same weight would have pressed on your chest while pretending to be responsibility. Leaving now interrupts that repetition. And interruption is mercy in disguise. Here is the truth most people never realize until it is too late. Some environments do not destroy you loudly. They drain you slowly. They normalize exhaustion. They make you believe that constant adjustment is maturity. That emotional patience without reciprocity is strength. That postponing your own needs is love. But the moment you step away, the fog lifts. You realize how much energy you were spending just to remain functional. How much of yourself was being negotiated daily. This is why the idea of moving feels both frightening and relieving at the same time. Your body knows what your mind is still processing. Something else shifts after you leave, and this is where the revelation becomes personal. The version of you that tolerated uncertainty quietly dissolves. You no longer wait for people to decide how they feel about you. You no longer chase clarity from those who benefit from confusion. You stop accepting potential as a substitute for presence. This is not arrogance. This is self-recognition. You finally meet yourself without interruption. And once you do, you realize how much of your power was tied up in maintaining emotional balance for others. What happens next is subtle but undeniable. Your time opens up. Your mind feels clearer. Your decisions feel cleaner. And with that clarity comes discernment. You start noticing how quickly some connections fade without effort. Not because you cut them off, but because they cannot survive without proximity or convenience. This does not hurt the way it used to. Because now you understand. Anything that was real never required you to stay small. Anything that was aligned never demanded your silence. This realization becomes your new foundation. Hold on to this as you move forward. This relocation is not an escape. It is a recalibration. You are not starting over from zero. You are starting from experience. And in the next part, you will see how this move positions you exactly where a long-delayed recognition finally finds you, and why what approaches you next will feel inevitable rather than surprising. My beloved child. What approaches you after this move is not sudden. It is delayed recognition finally catching up to you. There is a difference between being unseen and being unready to be seen, and you have crossed that line quietly. This is why your presence begins to feel heavier in rooms you once blended into. This is why your absence becomes noticeable. Asking to be understood. You are allowing yourself to be recognized. And recognition does not chase. It arrives. The moment you stop shrinking to fit expectations, the world adjusts its lens. This is not ego. This is alignment correcting a long imbalance. Pay attention to how interactions change after you settle. Conversations become more intentional. Opportunities become specific, not vague. People stop testing your availability and start respecting your boundaries. This shift feels subtle, but it is absolute. You will notice that fewer people reach out, yet the ones who do are clearer, calmer, and more decisive. Quantity reduces. Quality increases. This is how growth announces itself. Not with noise, but with precision. And once precision enters your life, confusion loses its power to distract you. Here is the revelation that lands quietly but stays forever. The thing you thought you were waiting for was actually waiting for you to leave. Not because distance creates value, but because clarity creates access. Your move removes interference. It simplifies your signal. It tells the universe exactly where to find you energetically. This is why responses become faster. This is why invitations feel aligned instead of forced. You are no longer negotiating your worth in environments that benefited from your hesitation. You are standing where your value is understood without explanation. There will be a moment, unexpected and calm, when you realize something profound. You no longer feel the need to justify your decisions to anyone. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally trust yourself. That trust changes how you walk into rooms, how you speak, how you pause. It changes what you tolerate and what you decline. This is the internal shift that creates external results. People sense it before you say a word. And those who once doubted your direction will begin to reinterpret your past with new eyes. Not because you proved them wrong, but because you outgrew the conversation entirely. Remember this as the chapter continues. You did not move to find yourself. You moved because you already did. Everything that unfolds from here builds on that truth. And in the next part, you will understand why this relocation also activates a connection or opportunity that feels fated, not dramatic, not chaotic, but unmistakably right, arriving at a time when you are finally ready to receive it without fear. My beloved child. There is a calm certainty that settles into your chest now, and it does not ask for validation. This is how you know something real has activated. You are no longer chasing signs, because your life itself has become the sign. The noise that once surrounded your decisions has softened, and in that quiet, direction becomes obvious. You begin to move without overthinking. You choose without rehearsing explanations. You trust your timing without comparing it to anyone else's. This is not confidence built from applause. This is stability built from alignment. And alignment does not shake when questioned. What unfolds next feels different from everything you experienced before, because it arrives without urgency. There is no pressure to rush. No fear of losing it if you pause. Whether it comes as an opportunity, a connection, or a recognition of your work, it carries a sense of inevitability. It does not test you. It meets you. This is how you know it belongs in your life. Anything meant for you arrives without requiring self-betrayal. Without forcing you to become smaller, louder, or someone else entirely. You will recognize it by the way your body relaxes instead of tightens. Here is something deeply important that few people ever articulate. The move you made trained you to receive without chaos. In the past, good things came mixed with anxiety, doubt, or instability. Now, when something good approaches, it feels clean. It feels respectful. It feels mutual. You are no longer interpreting intensity as depth or inconsistency as passion. You are choosing resonance over reaction. This shift protects you more than any boundary ever could. Because now, what does not align simply cannot stay. Not through effort. Not through persuasion. Not through emotional leverage. There may be a moment when you look back and realize how close you were to staying in a version of life that would have limited you quietly. Not through pain, but through comfort. That realization does not bring regret. It brings gratitude. Gratitude for the restlessness that refused to leave you alone. Gratitude for the discomfort that pushed you forward. Gratitude for the courage it took to move without guarantees. You did not leap blindly. You listened deeply. And listening is what saved you from settling into something that was never meant to be permanent. Carry this truth as you continue. Your life is no longer responding to fear. It is responding to clarity. And clarity attracts what belongs without struggle. In the next part, you will see how this new stability reshapes your identity in the eyes of others, and why the respect you receive now feels different from approval, because it is earned through presence, not performance. My beloved child. Something unmistakable changes in how people respond to you now, and it happens without you doing anything differently. Your words carry more weight. Your pauses are no longer questioned. Your decisions are not challenged the way they once were. This is not because others suddenly became wiser. It is because you stopped broadcasting uncertainty. When you moved, you reclaimed authorship over your own life. And authorship creates gravity. People sense when someone is no longer negotiating their direction. That certainty does not need volume. It communicates itself in stillness. There is a moment coming when someone from your past observes you from a distance and realizes they misjudged you. Not with drama. Not with confrontation. Just a quiet recalculation. They will understand that you did not leave because you were lost. You left because you were precise. Because you knew staying would dilute you. This realization changes how they speak about you when you are not present. Your name is no longer paired with doubt. It is paired with resolve. This is how reputation transforms when growth is handled with discipline instead of noise. Notice how your identity feels lighter now. You are no longer carrying labels that never fit. You are no longer performing roles that required constant explanation. The move stripped away unnecessary definitions and left you with something simpler and stronger. You know who you are without defending it. You know what you want without advertising it. This internal alignment creates external respect. People mirror the way you treat your own time, your own energy, your own boundaries. And because you no longer overextend, what you offer feels intentional rather than obligatory. Here is the final truth of this phase, and it is powerful. You did not become distant. You became centered. And centered people are often misunderstood by those who rely on chaos to feel relevant. This is why fewer opinions reach you now. This is why distractions fail to pull you off course. You are not disengaged from life. You are engaged with it on your own terms. That distinction changes everything. It protects your focus. It sharpens your intuition. It keeps your future uncompromised. As this chapter continues, understand this clearly. The move you made did not close doors behind you. It closed loops. And closed loops free energy. That freed energy is already reorganizing your life in ways that feel orderly, grounded, and deeply right. In the next part, you will see how this stability becomes the foundation for something lasting, not fleeting, not dramatic, but enduring enough to reshape how you define success, connection, and fulfillment from this point forward. My beloved child. What begins to form now is not excitement. It is structure. The kind that supports you instead of draining you. You will feel it in how your days organize themselves naturally. Your routines become steady without forcing discipline. Your mind feels less scattered because your life finally reflects your values. This is when you realize that peace is not passive. It is powerful. It allows you to build without rushing. To plan without fear. To move forward without constantly checking behind you. This is the foundation that lasts, because it is built on clarity, not reaction. There is a quiet moment approaching when you understand why nothing chaotic could follow you into this chapter. What is forming around you now requires consistency. It requires emotional stability. It requires self-respect. And chaos cannot survive in that environment. This is why anything unstable slowly fades without conflict. No arguments. No dramatic exits. Just incompatibility revealing itself. You will not feel the urge to chase what leaves. Because what belongs stays without pressure. This realization brings a calm confidence that does not need reinforcement. Your definition of success begins to change here. It is no longer about proving anything to anyone. It is about sustainability. About waking up without dread. About choosing relationships that add to your life instead of consuming it. About work that feels aligned rather than exhausting. This shift is subtle but permanent. Once your nervous system learns what balance feels like, it will never willingly return to chaos. And this is why the life you are building now feels quieter, but stronger than anything before it. There will be people who mistake your calm for distance. Let them. You are no longer required to correct misunderstandings that arise from other people's projections. You know what you are building. You know why you moved. You know what it cost you to get here. That knowing becomes your anchor. And anchored people do not drift when opinions change. They remain steady while others adjust around them. This steadiness becomes your signature. Hold this truth as you continue forward. You did not move to escape your past. You moved to finally live without negotiating your future. Everything aligning now is doing so because you are ready to sustain it. And in the next part, you will see how this grounded stability opens a door that stays open, not because you hold it, but because it recognizes you as someone who finally knows where they belong.